Alright, this video is going to be how to install a radio on a 2005 Scion XA. It should work with 06 as well. We already have aftermarket dual DIN in here, but I want to change it. Just a partnership with a company. So first thing you want to do, disconnect the battery. I'm not doing that, but just use the shift override. Make sure e-brake is pulled. Pop off any of your old stuff. You've got two silver panels here. Pull those off, they just pop right out. Sometimes they can be a bit finicky, but usually good. Then you need to remove your temperature control and your I guess air placement control. You got the two screws here. You want to take those out. Try not to lose them because good luck finding them. And after that, you got two more silver screws over here. Okay, and you don't always have to remove what I call the microwave, but sometimes it does make it a little easier. I just open it, and then we should just be able to pull off here. Probably try to start, pull from the top and bottom at the same time. This is going to be a little bit more flexible, but could break easier. So pull off up here. We don't have to disconnect any of the buttons or the air thing, but when we pull it out, we will have plenty of wires back here that we need to disconnect. So pull all of these out. And throw that away somewhere. Then you've got 4 Phillips screws. I believe this is probably an 8 or a 10 mil if you don't have Phillips for some reason. A magnetic screwdriver would work best for this, but this one is not magnetized anymore. Of course, this one's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. I'm just going to pull on the radio to get the last one out. Alright, now these do come factory with double DINs. Depending on your model, you could potentially have a touchscreen one already, but I did not. I just had a basic Pioneer factory radio, but they are factory double DIN size, so I'll just unplug my RCA's antenna, and then we'll try to fish out the wires I have here. Now I would highly recommend buying the wiring kit, the harness. It's so cheap nowadays that it's worth it to just buy these. I think I picked this one up for less than 10 bucks on Amazon. I will link that in the description along with both radios that I'm using. So for this one, we do have a subs and an amp in the car, so we've got a remote wire going back there. But after you get this done, it's your typical, you buy the adapters, plug those in. You don't want to try to splice into these, it's going to be too complicated. So after you buy your adapters, it's just going to be a simple color to color. Your radio should have a manual with it along with the wiring harness you buy. It's usually on the packaging. It'll tell you what all the wires do, but if you've ever done a radio before, it's pretty straightforward. Luckily the radio I came with, it had literally everything marked already, so that helped. I didn't have to read the manual, I could just look at it right here. But color to color, pretty straightforward, and I'll get back with you all in a second whenever I'm putting it all back together. Alright, we're back with everything rewired up, color to color, obviously. Now this radio has quite a few extra bits you're not going to need. So I've got auxiliary imports and a video import hooked up my subs. There was a pink wire for the amp turn on with the sub plug-in down here. Luckily, you don't have to ground out the handbrake like most radios. There's an option to where you can turn it on and off on this radio. So other than the extremely short antenna, which I don't know why they don't have any extra playback here. It's pretty simple. You see, color to color. There's no interface required on this model. Makes life really easy. So your best bet is to tuck everything back in here. There's a nice little hole down here, kind of sitting over top of the HVAC shit. Just throw it in there. And when you're putting this back in, Jesus, make sure you get the tabs lined up in the little holes there. Now, the radio itself is kind of weird compared to the other one as far as mounting goes. It's a much thinner radio, therefore it might not mount the same. I was only able to put in the top bolts, so we'll have a little bit of spin on the radio, but we should be able to get that lined out once it's put back in. So now we repeat the process from earlier, which is throwing all the bolts back in. Phillips screwdriver works the best, but it's a Toyota, so if they get stripped out, you've always got your hex head on top. You got your fold bolts. I highly doubt you're actually going to need all these. It's nothing you're going to put in here is going to be too heavy to weigh it down. So, unless you're worried about someone stealing your shit, don't worry about putting all these back in here whenever you inevitably drop 2 or 3. Alright, once this stuff is back in, we'll go ahead and grab the main piece here. Hook everything back up down here. Probably don't want to forget any of that. Not that it's hard to take back off if you do. So that's pretty simple. Make sure everything's good to go here. Now the only issue you might have is trying to reline this back up, and then be extremely careful because this is beyond flimsy. You get that on things that are somehow cheaper than basic Toyota products. So you finagle this in here till it lines up. Just kind of guide yourself into where this is in the hole, and then you've got your 2 screws lined up on the rest of the HVAC here. Pretty much just push this in until it finds its way in a happy spot. Now there are side pieces you can get to fill in these holes. I've got one here as an example, but it is not going to work with this radio. So just with the mounting, none of the holes line up properly. I imagine if I went through and found an extremely difficult kit, I could probably get it lined out, but I'm not going to worry about it. So make sure tabs down here lined up as well. I believe you've just got the 2. So once this stuff is back in and together, you want to grab your screws for the temperature control. Throw those in. And I would just do it until they're snug. Don't want to try to over tighten these, it will shatter, and then good luck finding parts for a Scion. Go ahead and throw these back on. They don't matter as far as which one goes where, they're both the exact same. And then you got your 2 silver screws you're going to throw back on, and the holes down here. Get those snug as well. If there's a proper torque rating, I don't know it, nor do I care about it. Throw that back on. Close your microwave. Try try to figure out which one of these goes where. Get it wrong about 7 times, and then figure it out. So these just push back in. We did have a tab come off. I'll try to pull it back off for you and show you. One of these little yellow tabs, you should be able to put those back on pretty easily if they come off. You can probably find them at AutoZone if they end up breaking. It's quite an old car, so it would not be surprising. Line these back up to the best of your ability. They just pop back in place. And then I just found it a little helpful to raise up at the bottom there to fit that back in position. So everything is working. Well, I'll show you everything's working here in a second. Other than the clear space issues there, which like I said, it's only because of this radio. We're not going to be able to clear that, but with the right amount of stuff, you could get her hooked up quite nice and looking well. Radio turns on, all the wires are good. It's a really simple install, no interface is required. And then they do sell different variations of these. So there's many different ones. These work with my last radio. So if you were to get one of these newer ones that are significantly thinner and have a lot less mounting holes, you'll probably have to find different variations of these. I think they sell quite a bit. These just worked really well with the last radio, but like I said, they'll essentially fill in the gap here and make it where it's not nearly as noticeable. And then with different mounting positions on a normal radio. So typically you've got, well, I mean, infinite possibilities here, but to where's this one you had, I think a total of, there's 4 bolt holes, 2 on each side, and then this one there's fucking every bit of 10 or so. So that pretty much wraps it up. I will be doing a review on this radio. It is a Binize, I think it's a 9.1 Android system. So if you're interested in that, I'll be posting a video shortly after this one. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know. I will be sure to leave a link to the wiring harness I used for the radio in the description, and then I'll leave a link to this radio and the one that I've been running in it prior, which is a Planet Audio. It's been pretty solid, but wanted to throw a new one in just to see it. Alright, thank you.